Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to another weekly astrology forecast. This week, we do have a bit more intensity starting to build up. So let's dive straight into it. We are starting off the week with a new moon in the sign of Gemini. At the same time, we're having Uranus in Gemini, in the beginning of Gemini, making a square to the north and the south node. This is going to be felt kind of intensely because the north and the south node are karmic points. They are points that indicate our destiny. Where is it that we're moving towards and where are we moving away from? Uranus brings disruption. It's disruption through information because it's in the sign of Gemini. So there's going to be a lot of information that gets revealed to us in the beginning of the week, especially with this new moon in Gemini. Once again, Gemini rules intellect, our communication, our speech. It is our thoughts. It's a very cerebral energy at the beginning of the week. This new information is going to have us questioning our old paradigms, our old structures, our old ways of seeing and doing things, and introducing new ways that maybe we have not yet considered. However, one thing I do want to note is that this new moon in Gemini is not like typical new moons. This is because this new moon is going to be a void of course moon. What does that mean? It's not going to be making any other planetary aspects while it's happening. So I wouldn't recommend making any type of long-term decisions, any concrete decisions from this new moon, whatever information comes to you within the beginning, the first few days of this week. Simply because we do not have all the details yet. We are getting pieces of the puzzle, but we do not have the entire puzzle just yet. I will be dropping an entire video on how this new moon in Gemini will be affecting you and your specific placement as well, so you can go ahead and check that out on my page so you can see specifically how this new moon will be affecting you. However, on a collective sense, the energy of this week, when I sat with it, the analogy that I came up with was, it seems like we have this puzzle that we had just recently completed, right? We had this 1,000-piece puzzle, we completed it, we put all the pieces together, and then someone comes along and is like, oh, great puzzle, but did you know it's actually a part of this bigger puzzle, this 10,000-piece puzzle? I still haven't found all the pieces yet. Here's like 5 new pieces. You could try to figure out to see where your piece of the puzzle goes within this bigger puzzle, but we're still figuring it out. That's kind of the vibes with this energy of this week. So you're getting new insights, you're getting new information, you're getting these downloads, and it kind of completely changes your worldview. Like, here you are thinking, oh my god, my puzzle, like, this was it, this was the puzzle, I was done with the puzzle, this was how I was viewing reality, this is how I was viewing life in general. And now certain scientific discoveries, certain news comes in, and it's like, well, actually everything that we knew about this thing is wrong. Now it's kind of shifting and changing, but I do want you guys to keep in mind, yeah, there may be certain things that come up in the news or even some downloads that you get that make you question past ways of thinking and ways of doing things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the past ways of doing things or thinking, or the puzzle that you were creating, is entirely wrong and needs to get thrown out. It's all connected in some way, we just haven't truly figured out the connections. So how exactly does this relate to the new moon? Since new moons bring new beginnings, right? Typically, you would want to start something new in a new moon. I wouldn't suggest that with this new moon. This new moon is more for gathering ideas. It's more for brainstorming, being able to be in that cerebral space, getting these downloads, getting these insights, writing them down. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad ideas. They may seem like amazing ideas at the moment. However, keep in mind, Mercury just recently entered its shadow period, which means it is going to enter retrograde soon. Where Mercury currently is in the sky, in the sign of Cancer, it's a very emotional sign. It's not very logical, and it's going to be passing over this same part in the sky again when it goes retrograde in a few weeks. Therefore, the ideas and the insights that we're getting now aren't entirely set in stone. Even if it seems like, oh yeah, this is the greatest idea ever, oh yeah, I need to execute on this, I need to start doing this right now. Yes, write it down, put it on the planner, think about how you're going to execute it. But since the moon is going to be void of course, it's not going to be making any aspects. Since Mercury is in Cancer, it's preparing to go retrograde. We are going to be making some squares this coming week to the planets in Aries, which I'm going to get to in a second. The beginning of the week is not the right time to actually put forth anything new, brand new in motion. It is time to brainstorm and collect ideas, but not necessarily the time to push forward on things. You're still gathering information at the beginning of the week. As we continue moving on into the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, things are really starting to build up then. I personally think that the most important and intense feeling energies are going to be happening in Monday, Tuesday, and especially Wednesday. This is because as we build up to Wednesday, the moon will be transiting from Gemini into Cancer. And then as it goes through Cancer, it will be making squares to Saturn and Neptune and Chiron in the sign of Aries. These are all very intense and heavy placements. The moon rules our emotions, so our emotions may feel a little bit heavy and dense. As we get into Monday and Tuesday, there may be also some disillusionment that comes up. And as we get closer into Wednesday, where the moon will be making a square to Chiron, it's going to be exposing our wounds. Keep in mind, we also have Jupiter still right at the end of Cancer. It's getting ready to move into Leo, but as it's nearing its approach to Leo, it is exacting a square to Chiron. Once again, this is expanding our wounds, our traumas, our fears that perhaps are holding us back from doing things and expressing ourselves fully. As this moon continues to make its way through the zodiac throughout the week, on Wednesday, it meets up with Venus in Leo. Venus has recently moved into the sign of Leo, which is great for Leos and fellow fire signs. However, Venus is making an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius, and the moon is going to be meeting up with this Venus in Leo, also amplifying this opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. The moon is a luminary, so it illuminates things, therefore it is heightening this aspect. I do believe Wednesday is going to be the most intense feeling aspect of the week. Now, what does this moon, Venus, Pluto opposition mean for us? When Venus and Pluto are in opposition, Venus rules our relationships, it also rules our money. Pluto is power and control dynamics. It is exposing the truth of the situations, deep underlying factors that we may have been pushing under the rug, manipulation tactics, power dynamics that lie within our relationships that maybe we've been neglecting. It exposes all the skeletons in the closet. This is going to be especially felt by Leo and Aquarius placements, especially if you have placements within the first 0 to 10 degrees of Leo and Aquarius. These are going to start coming up to the surface so we can acknowledge them and hopefully heal through them. The good thing about this aspect is that it will be making a trine to Neptune in Aries. This can go good or bad depending on how you use the energy. So Neptune sometimes can bring over idealism in that you recognize the shadows and the dark sides, the skeletons in the closet of your relationship. And instead of acknowledging it and recognizing it and then moving forward on that, you can over idealize it or become overly compassionate. And Neptune has a habit of forgiveness and over forgiving, being very forgiving for things that may be not so beneficial or good for us. It allows us to see the higher ideal vision. It allows us to have compassion. But I do want to warn and make sure that you aren't taking this compassion, you aren't taking this idealism to a toxic state in that you're tolerating or you're accepting things within your relationship that get exposed and you know aren't good, you know are maybe harmful or keeping you trapped in certain dynamics, and instead of moving forward from a place of compassion, because you could forgive somebody and still have boundaries with that person. You can understand that maybe someone isn't good for you, be compassionate and understanding of where they are currently in their journey, and still continue to decide that you're not going to continue that relationship. So there's higher ideals and there's lower ideals of Neptune. The lower version of Neptune can be over forgiving, over self sacrificing, and just like trying to see the good in others to the point where you're hurting and neglecting yourself. Although, with this aspect, since it is a trine, I do believe we have the possibility and the opportunity to see the higher ideal vision in knowing, okay, I can still be compassionate and kind and understand where this person's coming from, understand the situation. I can see the truth of this matter and still act from a place of discernment. However, I do want to note that while this is all happening on Wednesday, it's going to feel highly emotional and it's going to be, I don't want to say reactive, but you're going to have a feeling of wanting to react. I would say to wait until we get to the end of the week, which is when the moon will move into the sign of Virgo. It will then meet with the south node, and we will have a little bit more of a logical, grounded approach to all of the information that has been revealed to us in this week. This week is going to be a week of revelations, of understanding, ideas coming to you that reveal information that's going to help you move forward into the next stage. I do want to leave the disclaimer that at the end of the week, when the moon does move into the sign of Virgo, yes, it is a grounding energy. However, it is activating the south node. So there is a possibility of wanting to go back towards safe and known patterns of the past. But this may not necessarily be the right steps to go as we move forward. So making sure that you're not taking the safe option out, making sure you're not retreating into past patterns of things that you know. Try to remain grounded and logical in your approach to all of the information that is getting revealed to you now. I wouldn't say that it's completely necessary to make a decision this week, especially towards the beginning of the week. I would not make any major decisions that you cannot easily reverse or take back, because there are a lot of things that are still up in the air, even if it seems like all has been revealed. Even if it seems like, oh, well, now I know the truth, now I need to act on it. Yes, now you know certain aspects of the truth. Not everything has been revealed yet. Remember, Mercury is in its shadow. It will go retrograde in a few weeks' time, and everything that is getting revealed to us now will get revisited from a different lens and a different perspective as we continue on in the month. So I wouldn't make any rash decisions. If you do make a decision, make sure it's one that you have sat with for a while, something that you're coming from a grounded approach, not from an emotional approach, because like I said, we do have a lot of energy in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer can be very highly emotional and just reactive from a place of emotion rather than a place from logic. At the end of the week, when we do have the moon with Virgo, Mars will be making a sextile to Mercury in Cancer. Mars is our desire, it is our action planet. It is our planet that allows us to have the courage and the confidence to take action on things. Being in the sign of Taurus, it's a little bit more slow moving. It requires looking at all of the details first and making an analysis before it actually decides to act. Since there will be a positive aspect happening with Mercury, our intellect and our communication and the way that we speak, with Mars in Taurus, that's why I'm saying towards the end of the week would be the better day to make any type of actions or communications of the actions that you're going to be taking. However, keep in mind that all of this can change within the span of the next few weeks, because all has not yet been revealed yet. We still do not have all of the pieces of the puzzle. So that is the energy for this week. Quickly, let's just go over what are the signs that are going to be the most affected. I would definitely say Gemini. As we start off in the beginning of the week, we are going to have so much of this energy in Gemini being activated. The mutable signs as well, specifically Pisces and Virgo. If you have Pisces placements and Virgo placements within the first, I want to say 8 to 10 degrees, so 0 to 10 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini, I would say you're being activated. Also, the last 10 degrees, so 20 to 29 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini. Sagittarius, you could get thrown into the mix as well, because it will be amplifying very prominent and important places in your chart as well. Other signs that I would say are being activated this week, of course, Leo, within 0 to 10 degrees of Leo, if you have placements there. Aquarius, within 0 to 10 degrees of Aquarius. Aries, you are a topic of discussion as well. I would say all Aries placements, because we have planets scattered throughout Aries. So Aries, throughout the entire sign, you guys will be affected, making squares to all of this Cancer. So Cancer is also going to be affected. All of Cancer placements will be feeling some intense energy this week and highlighted for them. So quite nearly almost everyone will be feeling the energy of this week in one way, shape, or form or another. We are starting to build up the energy of the year. We're starting to ramp up as we get closer to eclipse season, we get closer to retrograde season. The energy is going to start picking up now, guys. So get ready. I'm here to break it down for you so that way you have a better understanding and you can go into each and every week with some clarity, some preparation, being able to balance the understanding of the stars with any actions or any specific things that may happen to you in your day-to-day life. Now let's jump into the tarot, since I like to pick some cards, advice card, a challenge card, and an overall energy card for this week, so we can just get some additional guidance from our spirit guides, our ancestors, the divine, the God, whatever it is that you want to call it. We're going to ask the cards and see what is the overall energy, what is the advice, and what is the challenge card for the week, and then we'll leave the reading at that. Okay, so for the overall energy of the week, we got the 10 of Winter, which is the Siberian Husky. He's a cutie pie. Love him. It says, the end of a career path, project, or relationship brings feelings of mixed joy, sadness, relief, and disappointment. Put aside your fears about these changes and trust that a brighter future awaits. For some reason in this card, what's calling out to me the most is this fire hydrant. I've gotten this card before, but it's never called out to me as much as it has today. And I think, obviously, a fire hydrant showing up in the background. And the husky there, he has like a little jacket that looks like, you know, he's a little emotional support dog or something. With the new moon in Gemini, clearly there is a path to new beginnings, especially when it comes to the way that we see and think about our reality, right? Our thoughts or communications, the way that we see our reality is shifting. And so there could be an ending that comes up that can bring up feelings of maybe insecurity or sadness. But with the fire hydrant in the background, it makes me feel like there's a sense of safety here. There's a sense of any fires that do happen, like you have the ability to put them out. So being able to surrender and to trust in the universe, knowing that the current path that you are on, even if it feels a little bit unstable, even if it feels a little bit scary, you are being supported and guided. And any major changes, any major problems that do show up, there is the ability, and you do have the ability to put out those fires. Don't think that you're doing this all on your own. You are being supported and you are being guided. That's the message that I'm getting with that card. What is the challenge card for this week for the collective? Whoa, that one just... Oh my god, I never got this card! She is the cutest! Or he, it's a prince of summer. It's a little frog. Look at him. Look at him with his little wand. Oh, isn't that the cutest little thing? Oh, he's so cutest. And there's a little ladybug there, and a little butterfly, and a glass slipper. Okay. It says romantic, flirtatious, introspective, and enchanting. A deeply emotional and probably romantic experience will sweep you off your feet. Things can move very quickly during such a whirlwind encounters, so stay balanced and make decisions with both your heart and your intellect. Okay. This came up for the challenge card, and I think this is referring to the Venus-Pluto opposition, which I didn't really talk about this aspect, but I like that this card came up because now I can. whenever I see Pluto aspects, especially when it relates to Venus, I see themes of just like obsession, being drawn to somebody in like a very magnetic way that you almost can't describe. It's just like a very intense pull that Pluto has. It's like, oh my God, I I don't know who this person is. I don't know why I'm so attracted to them. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with them. I need to know as much as possible about them. I want to do everything with them. Like, oh my God, can we hang out today? Oh my God, can we talk like for hours at a time? Like, this is a connection that develops very quickly, very intensely. Um, Especially the fact with Venus being in the sign of Leo, and Leo, as I mentioned in my previous video in last week's astrology, Leo, Venus and Leo can sometimes be very like love bomby type of energy where there's just a lot of intensity really fast and you just dive really deep, head over heels really quickly. Sorry, I'm just like woo. um and with all the Gemini energy too, like Gemini loves to move fast and it's just like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. And it says to make sure that you're making decisions with both your heart and your intellect. So especially, I would say, if you are a Leo, if you are an Aquarius, this is going to be highlighting relationship sectors of your chart, specifically Leo rising or Aquarius rising. So making sure that if you do encounter anybody this week, that you're remaining grounded and you're not allowing these intense feelings that are showing up right now kind of sweep you off of your feet. So that's definitely one of the challenges for this week, making sure that you're remaining grounded in your love and relationships, because there can be a lot of intensity in relationships that show up this week. It doesn't necessarily have to be like intensity and like power and control and manipulation dynamics, although all of that can get exposed as well. But it can also show up and represent itself in, these more, I want to say, like toxic relationship cycles in becoming obsessed with someone so quickly before you even got a chance to really know them. So making sure that you're aware of that. Another thing that I wanted to know about this Venus Pluto opposition too is, even if you're not in a relationship or even if you don't encounter anybody new this week, the relationships of your past, even if it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, it could also be like work relationships or even just like familiar relationships. It's just bringing a highlight to these more toxic. When I say toxic, I mean like obsessive, manipulative, power dynamics, push and pull type of energy, very extremes, because Pluto is extreme. It's pushing Venus, romantic love, to the extreme. So where is it in the past or even currently that we're testing these limits of our love to extremes that may be hurtful in the long term? And one final card. That was a challenge card. We had the overall energy card. Now let's do an advice card for the week. What is an advice card for this collective spirit? This card is like screaming at me right now. Oh, look at her! I never got this card either. 3 of Autumn, miniature poodle dog. Look at that, best in show. I love her. It says, your most satisfying and profitable career comes from following your passions, listening to your heart, and doing what brings you joy. Your life purpose is best fulfilled by allowing your talents and true self to shine forth out into the world. I love this. This is definitely giving me Leo energy. And I think, as we continue on into the rest of this week and into the month, we're going to start focusing some more on Leo energy. Yes, we're going into Cancer season, but Jupiter is going to be entering the sign of Leo very soon also. And the advice is just to make sure that you're leading from the heart, that you're doing things from the heart. You're following your joy. You're following your creativity. This week does have a lot of emotional turmoil, a lot of emotions that are coming up, a lot of fears that are coming up. How is it that maybe past fears that we have had, past traumas that we've had, are getting in the way of us expressing our joy, our passions, our creativity? Because maybe back then we weren't able to express them because we had been rejected, we were made fun of, we were made to seem like who we were and our joys and our passions, our creativity was somehow wrong or bad or weird. This Three of Autumn, the advice card, is reminding us that the best results come from you acting from a place of joy, of a place from fully loving yourself and what it is that you have to offer. I kind of want to read the little booklet for this one. It says, being the best at what you do, a lucrative career in creative field, doing what you love. The very best career involves following your passions, becoming the very best, the most passionate in your field. If you do so, you'll be financially rewarded beyond your wildest dreams. The miniature poodle urges you to listen to your heart when it comes to your life purpose. Often this card refers to a career in the creative arts. Allow your gifts to surface and shine forth in the world. You have a dazzling talent. Unleash it and great abundance will come to you. Miniature poodles also refer to working well in teams. The American Kennel Club lists the top 3 attributes of poodles as active, proud, and very smart. Those words of praise are borne out by their history of blue ribbons and best of show awards. Poodles are quick learners. In competition, they are able to adapt to whatever scenarios are thrown their way. They are creative, talented performers. However, they also don't win their ribbons on their own. Their success is a collaborative effort with their trainer, so they encourage you to work with others towards mutual fulfillment of your dreams. Okay. I think with all of these things coming up, there may be a possibility for some of you guys that are listening to this reading that you may meet somebody new this week with this Venus-Pluto opposition that ignites something in you. They spark a passion in you that hasn't really been lit up before, or like it's been lying dormant. And because of that, they are pushing you and they are inspiring you towards becoming your best self. And that is why they're feeling so magnetic to you. And that's why you're so obsessed with them. It's because they're bringing out these positive attributes in you. And so if you do meet somebody this week who you feel so magnetized by, you're like, oh, I need to talk to you more. I need to spend more time with you. Like, how do we keep this going? How do we, you know? I need you to sit with yourself and really analyze, what is it about this person that I'm so attracted to? Are they bringing out a side of me that maybe is within me, but they're bringing it out, and that's why I'm so obsessed with them? It's not necessarily because of them in general, even though their energy is stimulating something within me. How is it that this person's energy is igniting either something that I want or something that I'm working towards, and that is why it is drawing me towards them? Or even looking at your past relationships and seeing, why is it that maybe you were so obsessed with certain people? What was it within them? What did you see in them? What were they bringing out in you that made them so magnetizing? Because those are the attributes that you're trying to bring out. Those are the attributes that are trying to come out and express themselves. So yeah, that is the energy of this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.